Some relationships don't hurt you in obvious ways. They don't involve shouting, insults, or dramatic fights. Instead, they quietly wear you down. At first, everything feels normal. You tell yourself that every relationship has ups and downs, that love requires patience, that understanding means tolerating discomfort. But over time, something begins to change. You start feeling tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. You hesitate before sharing your thoughts. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you said too much, or if you should have stayed quiet. And slowly, almost without noticing, you begin to doubt your own feelings. This is how many toxic relationships begin. Not loudly, but silently. A toxic relationship is not always about cruelty. Often it's about imbalance. One person's needs take up all the space while the other learns to shrink. You become the one who apologizes first, the one who adjusts, the one who carries the emotional weight, hoping that if you try harder, things will improve. You learn to swallow your discomfort. You tell yourself it's not that serious. You convince yourself that you're being too sensitive. And each time you ignore your own feelings, you move a little further away from yourself. Leaving a toxic relationship is rarely easy, not because you're weak, but because you care. You remember the good moments, the laughter, the closeness, the version of them that once made you feel safe. You hold on to the idea of who they could be rather than who they consistently are, and you hope that love will eventually be enough to fix what hurts. But love is not meant to feel like constant anxiety. It is not meant to make you afraid of speaking honestly, and it is not meant to require you to abandon your own boundaries in order to keep someone else comfortable. A healthy relationship does not ask you to disappear. There comes a moment, sometimes very quietly, when you begin to realize something important. You realize that staying is costing you more than leaving ever could. That the relationship is no longer adding to your life, but slowly draining it. This realization can be painful. It often comes with guilt, fear, and uncertainty. You may question yourself. You may worry about hurting the other person. You may wonder if walking away makes you selfish. But choosing yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. Walking away from a toxic relationship is not a failure. It does not mean you didn't love deeply enough. Sometimes it simply means you finally listened to the part of you that was asking for safety, respect, and peace. Healing after a toxic relationship takes time. You may grieve not only the person, but also the future you imagined with them. You may miss them, even while knowing that leaving was the right choice. And that contradiction is normal. As you heal, you begin to rebuild your boundaries. You learn to trust your feelings again. You learn that discomfort is not something to ignore, but something to listen to. And slowly you start to recognize yourself again. One day, you realize that you no longer feel like you're walking on eggshells. You breathe a little easier, you feel lighter, you didn't lose love, you didn't give up, you chose yourself. And in time, you will understand that this choice didn't break you. It protected you. And it made space for the kind of connection that doesn't require you to shrink in order to be loved.